This is KGW News at noon.
Today is the start of a very busy travel week at PDX, but with concerns about the Omicron variant, many people will be making some tough decisions about visiting their family over Christmas. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. The Port of Portland released some new numbers today on how many people it's expecting to fly out of PDX. Today and then next Monday, they're supposed to be the busiest with about 49,000 travelers a day. That would be up significantly compared to last year. Over the two busiest days during the 2020 Christmas holiday, only 20,000 people flew through PDX. Back in 2019, that number was 56,000 a day. So, how are Portlanders feeling about all of this? Galen Etlin went to PDX to catch up with travelers.
AAA estimates more than 109 million Americans will travel for this Christmas and New Year. That's a 34% increase over this time last year, twice as much as this Thanksgiving. And even with the Omicron variant surging, people here at PDX are not that concerned. Ascending into PDX departures Sunday, you can feel the energy.
I'm really excited because we haven't seen our cousins in a bit.
Opal Browning, her sister Leela, and mom Diana are heading to Utah to visit family this holiday.
We spent a year and a half away from my dad who had cancer.
COVID kept them apart, but now
We just got our boosters and these kiddos were lucky enough to get their vaccinations.
travel feels safer to this nurse, and others here agree.
You just realize all the time that's been lost.
Back to normal life.
Yes,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah.
Precautions are front and center.
Masks, keeping distance, vaccinations.
But as the contagious Omicron variant appears in nearly every state, experts are worried about a new spike from the holidays.
The extraordinary capability of spreading.
It's going to find those amongst our community who are still vulnerable, about 40% that are not fully vaccinated.
Early research does not prove yet if the variant makes people sicker, but since it appears to spread more quickly, vulnerable populations and people with other conditions are at risk.
The hospitals are already strained compared to last year.
We have so many people in this country who are eligible to be vaccinated who have not yet been vaccinated.
But Dr. Anthony Fauci says those who are, and especially those who are boosted, should feel safe to travel this season. And for these groups at PDX, reuniting with family.
First time, being together since COVID.
Vaccines and advances in COVID prevention make a world of difference over last year.
Taking the right precautions and still being able to have that time with family and friends is important.
We have to live our lives, but carefully.
Now, because of rising case numbers, the Biden administration has extended its federal mask mandate to mid-March, and that applies to people traveling by bus, plane, train, and any other public transportation. Galen Etlin, KGW News.
Well, if you're driving somewhere for the holidays, Rod Hill is here now with a look at travel conditions around the region.
And they are improving. A couple hours ago, we had closures out on I-84 out in eastern Oregon. We had temperatures that were below freezing over the Cascade Passes, and those roads were snow covered. But now things are really getting easier for travel. We still have the moisture coming up from the south. Radar is still showing just a steady rain day from Portland up towards Seattle. But it is drying in Eugene, and we'll get that drying tonight. We still have snow out in the gorge, but down at low elevations, it's fairly light. And the snow rates have been breaking up out in eastern Oregon as well. So I mentioned I-84 out east had some closures. Those closures have now been lifted, so the highway is open. Now, at 32 degrees at Meacham, this is up in the blues. You should expect some icy spots and some slow going, lots of snow roadside, but 32, not that cold up in the mountains. 84 in the gorge, I've been telling you about the snow there. You can see it on the hills where there's several inches, but down along the interstate, it's snow free and really looking pretty good. Here's a look at the Coast Range. 39 degrees. This is really warming. So the snow level the rest of today, tonight, and tomorrow will be well above the Coast Range. That'll just be rain. And look at the Cascades. We haven't seen a clean highway in quite some time. This is Government Camp. And the other passes show temperatures starting to warm near freezing to above. And that's warm enough for ODOT to get those roads cleared as well. So the news is good. The temperatures even out east, not that cold, 30 degrees right now in Pilton. And for Portland, we're at 41. We'll be in the 40s with the rain continuing this afternoon. That was mostly good news.
We liked it. Absolutely. Thank you, Rod. Well, President Biden is meeting with his medical advisors today and will address the nation tomorrow about a new phase in the pandemic. we're seeing high-profile breakthrough infections as the Omicron variant spreads. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker and Representative Jason Crow of Colorado all tested positive despite being fully vaccinated and boosted. Health officials stress the vaccines are still doing their job, preventing severe illness and death.
If you've gotten sick after vaccination, the chances are you're going to have a pretty mild case. You'll have the sniffles maybe, or sick for a day or two with a fever, but you won't be in the ICU.
Here in the U.S., pro sports leagues are delaying games and several schools and universities are returning to remote learning. Omicron is also raising concerns for local businesses. We talked to the owners of Wedgehead in Northeast Portland over the weekend. They've seen business drop off since Omicron was first detected. Now they're joining a coalition of 3,000 restaurants nationwide and signing a letter to Congress. It says many restaurants are in danger of closing without extra support from the federal government.
If we were to get that funding, I would give us a 9 out of 10 success rate for the future for the rest of COVID. I'd say without it, I would give our survival rates at maybe 3 out of 10, a 30% chance.
Earlier this year, Congress passed almost $29 million in funding for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. But that money very quickly ran out, leaving almost 200,000 applicants without grants. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is defending his decision to vote against President Biden's Build Back Better bill. Manchin said today he was at his wits' end with the White House. Garrett Haake has a reaction to this major setback for the Biden administration.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin dealing a devastating blow to his party's nearly $2 trillion top priority, sinking the Build Back Better bill in a Sunday interview.
I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no.
Manchin joining every Senate Republican in opposition to the bill he'd spent months negotiating directly with President Biden, tanking the legislation in the evenly divided Senate, and stunning the White House, which released a statement saying Manchin's comments were, quote, at odds with his discussions this week with the president. Press Secretary Jen Psaki writing, just as Manchin reversed his position on Build Back Better this morning, we will continue to press him to see if he will reverse his position yet again to honor his prior commitments and be true to his word. Last month, President Biden expressing confidence he could overcome Manchin's concerns about the bill's price tag and its possible impact on inflation and earn his vote.
He will vote for this if we have in this proposal what he has anticipated.
The Build Back Better bill is passed.
The Build Back Better bill, which passed the House just before Thanksgiving without any Republican support, encompassed nearly every Democratic priority. Spending $500 billion on measures to fight climate change, creating a universal pre-K program, extending the child tax credit, and spending hundreds of billions more for home health care, paid family leave, and affordable housing. Republicans and Manchin argue the bill diverts too much money to goals that they say aim to rework the social safety net in America and advance liberal, progressive goals. But it's progressive Democrats who are now furious at Manchin.
All I want for Christmas is a senator that has compassion for the American people and not contempt.
That was Garrett Haake reporting. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced today that the Senate will vote on the Build Back Better Act in January, despite Senator Manchin's announcement. Well, later this week, the city of Vancouver will open its first Safe Stay community. This is video from last week as crews installed some of the 20 shelters that make up this project. The community will be home to up to 40 people and offer them access to social services. This is expected to open on Thursday. Vancouver says it hopes to open 2 more just like it before next summer. Well, Governor Jay Inslee announced the Washington CARES levy won't go into effect quite yet, so lawmakers can tweak it a little bit. The controversial payroll tax was set to begin January 1st. The money raised would create a savings fund for individuals who could use it for long-term care expenses when they're elderly or sick. The payroll tax would cost someone making $75,000 about $435 a year. Now, there are a number of concerns about the tax. For instance, people who pay into the system but move out of Washington to retire wouldn't receive any of those benefits.